Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Attention, if you are a frustrated man who feels like he is not getting the results he wants in his life, health, wealth, relationships, and personal growth, then I've got a powerful free video training for you to help you become a strong, grounded man so you can unlock unlimited power in your life, business, and relationships. Go to kfmconfidence.com to get instant access to this training. Again, that's kfmconfidence.com. If you want a Cliff Notes version of the best material that I've learned after 300 interviews on this podcast about being a stronger, more powerful man, then it's all here at kfmconfidence.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Ryan Stewman. He's the author of Elevator to the Top, Hardcore Closer, Kick-Ass, and Bulletproof Business. He writes for Forbes, Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, and on his own site, hardcorecloser.com. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, Ryan. And so we start off every show with a favorite success quote or some sort of saying that the guest has lived by. So what do you got for us? What's that mean to you? Why'd you share it today?
You know, I just made a meme for my Instagram earlier. Like every now and then I'll have like smart things that come to me. So my thing for today is take action. You got to take action before you can take over. You know, a lot of people, they know a lot of stuff, but they refuse to take action. The only way you can make anything happen is by doing stuff. So
I think there's a lot of that going on with this whole information age that we live in today. I mean, there's so much good content available where stuff people used to sell 10 years ago or even just 5 years ago is free on podcasts or on YouTube or on blogs. And there's just so much good content out there that it could be really overwhelming and make it difficult to take action.
Well, yeah, you know, and plus most people have been indoctrinated through education their whole life, from pre-K to kindergarten to college. And, you know, even sometimes you'll meet people in their 30s and 40s that are going back to college, and instead of taking action in one form or another, they're going back into learning mode because that's what they're used to and that's what they're comfortable with. So that has a lot to do with it as well.
I think so. I think so too. I think that's huge. A big part of, would you say, your success? I mean, you know, you could share a little bit about your story. I mean, you know, you've had a tough past. You've overcome some very challenging things. I mean, you've been in prison. Is that right?
Twice.
Yes,
unfortunately, I've seen the inside of 9 different prisons. That's not jails. That's like prisons. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Okay. And you've gone through that. And are you running a 7-figure company now?
It's actually
multi-7-figure company.
Crazy enough, multi-7-figure company. Yeah, it's in less than 2 years, really. That's what's even crazier. It's been a lifetime of preparation.
Right.
Kind of like they say bamboo, you know, it spends years spreading roots before it sprouts up. So it's been like that, but literally everything is really escalated and rapidly grown the fashion that you see before you today in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, check out his books. I mean, his story it's a wild story. I've read Elevator to the Top, Hardcore Closer, Kick-Ass. Haven't checked out Bulletproof Business, but we'll check it out. And so would you attribute a lot of that success to just being able to wake up and take action consistently?
100% of it. Matter of fact, I just hired a general manager, and the general manager's previous job was like rocket scientist with NASA. I shit you not, right? And one of the things that he said was, he's like, man, what you do is you just massively do stuff. And he's like, all I want to do is just come behind you and clean up like a janitor, except for I'm sweeping up dollar bills instead of dust. and that's really been, I think, what's made the big difference in the last 2 years too, is now I've had a team of people helping connect the pieces while I'm, you know, trudging forward, taking massive action and everything else. I remember the first time my affiliate manager came to record a program with me, we made permission-based selling in 2 days from start to finish, the whole program. The program sold, you know, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point. without any affiliate help or ad traffic or anything. We made the whole program in 2 days. He's like, dude, you do not play around. But we didn't sleep and we didn't get anything and we didn't do anything else until we finished it. And I think that's, I know that's what's been the major contributor, because while everybody else is thinking about things and trying to perfect them, I've just done them and then I just do them. And I have people that can go behind me, or I can go back and clean it up later. But just to get a product to the market. I mean, if you look at a lot of big companies that were in the tech world like Google and Yahoo, when they launched, they weren't perfect. Facebook's another one. It didn't look anything like or work anyway the way that it does today, but they had to get to market and then start perfecting it once they had got it launched and finished.
Right. I mean, even Apple's iPhone, it wasn't ready. It wasn't that great of a phone when it first came out. It was missing a lot of key features that it has today, but it's out, and every year they make it better and better and better. Well, not sure about this last model, but in general, looking back, when you were in prison as an inmate here, could you picture what you've done here? Like, I mean, looking back, like, how does that even feel for me just to drop an intro, all these things that you've done, all these successes, all these books you've written, all these people that you've impacted, and the millions of dollars that you've made? I mean, you were in a little 4x6 room.
Yeah. So actually, I knew the second time that I had to go to prison that this was exactly where I would be at one point in my life. The first time I was lost, see what happens, I sold drugs and I got caught with drugs when I was 19 years old. Long story short, it was like the first money-making opportunity I ever was presented with. And I didn't have anybody in my circle of influence, friends, family, or anybody that had anything other than a job. So the first time I was presented with something entrepreneurial, whether it be risky and illegal or not, I jumped on it. I obviously was not good at that. I ended up getting caught. I got in trouble. I had to go do 2 years in prison. But in 2004, so I got out of prison like 2001. By 2004 rolled around, I had a job in mortgages. I had showed up and was the best damn car wash guy on the planet. Somebody offered me a job, and I had made over $1 million from 2004 until 2007. So by the time I had to go to prison again for a gun crime in 2007, which is another long story, and I'm by all means not innocent, but it's surely a stupid, terrible luck story.
By gun, what, just for the audience, because I know what happened here, but for the audience, when you say gun, like what happened? Like, you were using the gun, or you had illegal weapons?
No. So what happened was, in the state of Texas, once you've done your time, so I'm from Dallas, Texas. I was arrested in Texas for the drug crime. Once you've done your time, you can have a gun again, you can vote, you get all your rights back. However, the damn federal government doesn't give you the right to bear arms back. They'll let you vote for president, and everything else, but they won't give you the right to bear arms back. However, the state of Texas doesn't say, hey, here's all your rights back. You need to talk to the feds. They just say, here's your rights back. So these cops raided my house thinking I sold drugs because I was making, a lot of money doing real estate. And when they realized there were no drugs, not even sandwich baggies, because I don't eat leftovers, dude, I was balling, right? So when they realized there was like no drugs whatsoever in my house and they were wrong, they, charged me with a gun. And they charged me with felon in possession of a firearm, which I went to court and got it dropped because I was no longer a felon according to the eyes of the state of Texas, because I was not on any parole or anything else. So I got the charge dropped. And then the DA, to prevent lawsuit, turned me over to the ATF because they discredit me that way. Anyway, so, I had to go back to prison for some shit that I really shouldn't have even had to deal with. But during that time, I actually went into prison going, I'm going to spend this time writing my book. But about 3 months into prison, my wife at the time left me for like the landscape guy and sent me a letter saying she was taking all the money, selling all the houses. And there really wasn't a whole lot I could do because I was in, like you said, a 6x9 cell. So it kind of interrupted my book, but I went in there with this plan, and I knew while I was in there that one day I was going to make a difference. I would look around at the dudes in there and I was like, these guys, like, they're hopeless now, but one day I'll be able to help guys like this out. And a lot of the people on my team that work for me are felons, and they're some of the best, loyal, like most experienced, hardest working dudes and chicks that I know. And I know a lot of people won't give them second chance. And dude, they're basically celebrities working with me these days. Pat was just telling me the other day, he's like, everywhere I go, people know me now. It's crazy. And most people wouldn't give him a second chance, but he's a brilliant computer dude, and so I give people, not based on their past, but based on their effort. But I learned that while I was in there, but I for sure thought that I was going to be this person. But did I realize it would happen in this manner? No, but I knew that one day this would be like the position I was in. There's a long ass answer, but I guess that'll work, right?
No, it's good. I think it helps the audience better understand your past and who you are, because we're talking about prison and these things. So aside from action, what else would you say was a contributing factor to your success and where you're at today that would inspire some of these folks listening?
You know, when you sit around for 4 years of your life inside of prisons and you have a lot of time to think, and you have a lot of time to think about like where I went wrong and what you're going to do when you get out and how you could have changed things. And, you know, the weird thing about me is I wouldn't change any of it. I know a lot of people say, man, you'd go back to prison. And I feel like that was just some of the suffering that I had to go through in order to get where I am now.
Wow.
And, you know, I really wouldn't change anything. You know, I've had to go through these learning experiences similar to like a martyr. You know, there's plenty of sales trainers that are in like suits and ties and things like that. And I'm not that guy. And the majority of the people that are in sales aren't that type either. They don't find themselves in church on Sunday and stuff like that. So for the first time until recently, but when I launched all this for the first time, I was like the sales trainer that was real. I was like the guy that didn't hide anything, covered in tattoos, been to prison. Hell, I've done every drug that you could name, and I was open about it and honest about it, and then talked about how I overcame this stuff and how I got my mind right. I don't use drugs. I haven't used drugs a long ass time. Well, I smoke marijuana, but hell, that's legal in more than half of the country, so it's not really a drug at this point. But, you know, I do what I do without guilt or remorse or anything like that, and I've had plenty of time to think about it, like I said, but I really wanted to. I'd see those guys in prison and I wanted to make a change for them. And then when I got out, I saw a lot of people that weren't in prison, but they were living in a mental prison, and I wanted to release them too. Every day, Andrew, I get messages. It's like, hey man, you know, I was in this bad position, and because I read your blog post, saw a video, listened to podcasts, whatever, and heard your story, now all of a sudden I've went back, I've taken control of my life, I'm making more sales at my job, which is giving me more money to take care of my kids, which is getting me respect from my boss and my wife, which is giving me the fulfillment that I need. Man, it's a huge ripple effect what I'm doing. And I had to go through all that to get this experience to become this person that is talking to you today. And I wouldn't change that, man. Did it suck? Hell yeah. But again, I wouldn't change it because it was all part of a process.
Yeah. So you said you had to suffer in order to become what sounds like the man you are now today, so that you can have the strength and fortitude to impact other men and women that you serve inside your communities. I think for a lot of guys listening, there's a lot of guys listening who are suffering, who are in a very shitty situation in their life. And I think by sharing your story, it helps others see that, hey, that suffering that you're in right now is a part of your journey and a part of what's going to make you that strong, grounded man in the future.
Yeah, man, because everything on this planet is temporary but death. I mean, think of how profound that is. Everything, no matter what you're going through, you won't go through it forever. Even if you have a lifelong disease, there is a chance that disease, it didn't start at birth. There's a chance they're going to be able to cure it in the future because we got all these DNA codings and stuff like that. I mean, but everything is temporary. The pain you feel from something is temporary. The suffering you're enduring right now is temporary. You have to make a decision that you're going to push through it. And what happens is when people find that something they're doing, a pain or suffering that they're going through becomes permanent, it's because they've made the decision to make that thing permanent instead of making the decision to push through it. But everything is temporary on this planet but death. But it's up to you to make it temporary.
Wow. It's like we're suffering in the temporary because it's sort of uncertain. It's kind of unknown how long we're going to have that suffering for. But the only thing that we know that is certain, which you've just shared, is death, which is probably the scariest thing that there is. But we don't talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's strength conditioning. You know, you think about it like when you work out, you have to start with 45 pounds and get good at lifting that before you can lift 100 pounds. And, you know, you can't just jump into lifting 100 pounds. You have to move your way up. It's strength conditioning. I feel like I've been through like this lifelong strength conditioning. It's like life put me in this rough situation. They're like, see if this fucks them up. But it didn't. And they're like, wow, man, he survived through that. Okay. Well, maybe he is our guy. Let's just try him again. Right. So I feel like I've been through this whole like lifelong deal to where I grew thick skin as a salesperson and I developed the strength to be able to say to things that most people won't say. You know?
Yeah. You talked about this mental prison. that you help a lot of people get out of. What is that mental prison that you hear about from your people, and how do you help them break through from that?
You know, the biggest mental prison out there is somebody's past. I get messages all the time where I see the end result, and I get messages all the time too where people say, I'm suffering from XYZ. I'm suffering because this person knows about my past, or I used to do drugs, or I've been divorced, or I've been to prison, or I have this issue. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that your past does not matter. I came out of federal prison the second time I have been to prison and got a job at the largest privately held bank in all of Texas. This company was doing $400 million a month in transactions in 2008, one of the worst years ever. And I'm talking monthly, and one of the worst years ever for the banking and mortgage business. This company had a line of people trying to work for them. I went in there, 2-time felon, no high school diploma, none of that stuff, and went in there and made them believe that they could take a chance on me. I became top producer in that place. I honored my word with them. But what I'm saying is, if I would have let my past dictate me, oh, I'm a felon, I can't get a job there. And that wasn't the first job I applied for. I remember I used to live in that prison. I thought, well, I'm going to go apply for this job at this company called Credit something or other. They fixed credit. It was a big company, and it seemed awesome. They had TVs in every cubicle, free Red Bull. It was like they gave you catered lunch every day. I thought this was going to be the dream job, and I didn't get it. And the reason I didn't get it is because they said I was a felon, but I didn't fight for the job. I just kind of laid down and took their word for it. And then I found this next job at the privately held bank that I was talking about, and I actually closed them on giving me the job. It took me 3.5-hour interview in order to get the general manager to take a chance on me. 4 months after working for the bank, the credit place that I didn't get the job at was raided by the FTC, and damn near every single worker there got a civil lawsuit or went to prison. That'd have been my third strike if I'd have got that dream job. Think about that for a minute.
Wow.
And at that time, still on parole. So it'd have been a bad third strike. Like, this dude's barely been out a few months.
Yeah. Yeah. So third strike is that life if you hit 3?
No, it is in California, but mine, I don't know. I don't want to find out, man.
All right. Yeah. Let's not find out.
Like,
and if you know, I guess that means you're probably close. Okay. All right. Coming back.
I'm just minding the rules over here, Andrew. That's all.
So we were talking about that mental prison and how you help guys break through. And I think that was, sharing your story there of how the dream job you wanted potentially could have been your third strike. Okay. So I know a lot of guys who are very high achieving, high performing guys. I think it's a similar community that you're serving where they identify so much of their external results with who they are. So if they're not doing well, if they're not having a good week, not having a good month, or not having a good quarter, then personally, it's a strike to their ego. They feel beaten down, and it prevents them from being happy in the present moment. What are your thoughts on this? How do you help guys? How do you coach the guys through this?
Man, I can tell you firsthand experience. I'm one of those guys that if I made some investments or some bad decisions or whatever happens and my bank account gets low, my ego gets inflated in a big way and bruised and damaged and everything else. And again, I've had to just learn that everything's temporary. If you make a bad decision, turn around and make the right decision, maybe even a smaller right decision and series of right decisions to get you there. But again, if whatever took place, that bad month or bad quarter, that's past tense, right? That's stuff that's already happened, and you're in a temporary situation that you got to worry about getting through it right now and in the future. But the past, there's nothing you can change. So get out of that prison. You had a bad quarter, do your best to make sure that this quarter is one that you have. And here's the deal, that may sound like really simple advice, but most people, the answer's right in front of them, just nobody will say it to them, right? And most people that go, I had a bad quarter, they go, oh man, come on, let me hug on you, man. It sucks when you got a bad quarter, man. You're a good person. And I'm the type of person like, okay, you had a bad quarter. Well, that shit happened. Now what you got to do is make sure it doesn't happen again.
What do you think?
We can't control what happened before, but we can control what's going on right now and in the future. That's all that we can have control over. So a person has to do their part to make sure that A, they don't make the same mistakes that they made in that last quarter, and B, if it requires doubling the effort or tripling the effort, then that's a sacrifice that's got to be made.
And based
if that's the results that they want, sorry to interrupt, but if that's the results they want, that's a sacrifice that's got to be made.
Yeah. Based on what you've seen, you've hired, you've fired, you've worked with a lot of high performers. What's the difference between those who are good at their job and those who are great, like the great performers?
Well, the people that are great at their job seem to have a few similar qualities. They usually actually love what they sell. They enjoy the people that they sell to, and they personally use the product. Everywhere that I've ever been, like a salesperson at, I've always used the product. When I sold car washes, I had a car, I washed it, every other day. I kept it super clean. That way I was a shining example of what a clean car looked like. When I was working at the Ford dealership, I drove a Lincoln, which was the most expensive Fords that they made at the dealership. I drove the Lincolns all the time. That way I could tell people I like Ford so much I bought their most expensive car. When I sold real estate and did mortgages, I own multiple houses. I had mortgage loans on the homes that I do. So I was 100% convinced that, hey, I've done it and I've been through it and I like the benefits of it. So I can for sure sell you and share my experience on the benefits as well. And, the people that are miserable in their jobs, they usually don't like the people they're dealing with. They usually don't like the product that they're selling. And they usually settled for that job instead of chasing after the job that they should be doing. What's crazy about sales is people that don't like cars will go sell cars because they think that's an easy job to do, but yet they might be an ace at selling paintings because they love art, but they never go apply for the job at the art gallery because they think there's no money made there.
Wow. Have you met some successful art salesmen?
Yeah, so this piece of art hanging on the wall behind me, I know you can't see it, but the thing cost me $5,500. He sold the same thing to Floyd Mayweather for $45,000, and the guy's a multi-millionaire just from drawing dollar bills on canvases. So yes, there's a lot of people that make money in that. Actually, I have a couple real estate agents that I coached a couple years ago, and they made about $250,000 a year as real estate agents, and then they collected and sold art from all over the world and made a few $1 million a year from their art collection and reserve. So absolutely, man, there's money in everything. You think about anything out there, Andrew, there's somebody making $1 million selling it. Now, it may be the owner of the company, but he's leveraged the sale, but he's still the person that's making $1 million. Anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're talking about sales and you're obviously hardcore closer. And so I think there's this image that I think a lot of people have around the word sales. And how do you view sales? And how do you think most people view sales?
Well, here's the thing. Salespeople are like pit bulls. We're the most loyal, loving animals on the planet, but the media hates us. One of us bites somebody and it's vicious. Like one of us out of every 10 million actually do something wrong and the world makes a big spectacle out of it. Let's talk about the movie industry, for example. We have movies like Wall Street, where it's this evil villain, Gordon Gekko, who's ripped off all these people and trading on insider information. And Bud Fox is this corrupt sales guy that's doing his dirty work. We have Boiler Room, which is Ben Affleck talking about how he's ripping people off and these guys bragging. We have the Wolf of Wall Street, right? Which in the sales community is like, yeah, those are our movies, but they're all about these evil sales guys. Right, so it's cool to us because we see millions of dollars and we see the good in it while the marketplace sees the evil in it. And they're like, dude, there's just salesmen ripping off people everywhere. This thing about like the best sales movie of all time is Tommy Boy, and they made it about a fat guy in a comedy, right? Like if you actually watch that movie, that is a movie about a sales guy who perfected his craft, was put in a situation to become a situational leader, and then learned his craft well enough to where he closed the main man on putting 500,000 brake pads into the new factory, saved the town, got the girl, but yet it's billed as a stupid comedy, never a sales movie. And so the reason why I say that is that's the public perception, because that's what's subliminally jammed down their throat, is that salespeople are either jokes or we're some people that are rip-off artists, when really salespeople is your mother, your father, your uncle, your cousin, your brother. We're all in sales. Oftentimes we have names where it's masked, like customer representative or real estate agent or loan officer or insurance professional, but it's all sales.
Yeah. I often hear people say, like, I don't want to sell. I just want to help people. What are your thoughts on that and the irony in that?
Well, that there's some people that really do want to help and they're not cut out for sales. And, they should probably hire a salesperson. That way, if they really want to help people, they've got somebody convincing them that they need help so that they can deliver that help. But the thing is, a lot of people say they don't want to sell. And that's because they don't want that perception on them. Everybody really wants to sell. It's like a dirty little word. Like everybody wishes they were like that badass salesperson that drove a Lamborghini and all that fancy stuff. Like everybody deep down wishes that they like, once they realize they can't be a rock star or a Hollywood movie star, the next best thing is like the rich ass sales guy, right? Or the rich CEO or whatever the case may be. And so, everybody wants to be that person. Everybody looks at them secretly. But the truth is, people are scared to put themselves in a position like me and say, hey, I'm the hardcore closer and go all in. And so they use it as an excuse, is like, well, I'm failing because I don't want to sell people, or it's easy for me not to commit all in and try to go live that lifestyle. So I'm just going to say I just want to help people. But if that's the case and you really genuinely want to just help people, then hire a salesperson. You'll be helping more people than you know what to do with, because they'll close them and you can deliver the help.
Can't we say that by selling them, you are helping them, because they're going to get the result that you're going to solve their pain, basically.
Well, if you'll remember earlier, I said that if you're selling something, the people that sell the most of it believe in it, use it, love it, and are convicted in it, right? So it's the same thing. If you believe and use the product, when someone came in and they had 5 kids and they needed an SUV, I knew that an Expedition was going to be the only answer that was affordable for them in the situation that they're in. So I owe it to them for them not to waste time shopping around, for them not to go somewhere else and maybe get talked into a worse deal or get ripped off. I believed in it 100%. So it's my job to close them on that. And I think you are absolutely helping people. As a matter of fact, if you have a special gift and an ability to help people and serve people, and you choose to hide behind not selling and not delivering that, you're really an asshole, right? Because you're holding your power back from people who deserve and who really need it. And you're using an excuse to have basically a governor put on your life, your business, and your delivery, and other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember many, many years ago when I was selling computers, I saw this father and daughter, and the father was buying his daughter a laptop for college. And so I was kind of thinking, I'm going to save them money. I want to be conscious of their budget. And I sold them a lower end computer. And I remember a week later, they came in and I was excited to see them. But then I noticed the father was really upset, and he went to the manager and complained and was mad at me because I didn't sell him the computer that he wanted his daughter to have, which was the more expensive computer. And so I just remember like this moment where I was like, what? Like, I thought I was saving them money, but they actually wanted to spend money. They wanted the better computer, but I had issues around sales where I thought it was best if I just saved them money rather than give them what they actually needed. I still remember to this day, the guy's face. He looked at me like I did something terribly wrong. And I was like so confused.
Well, we usually sell how we are. So if you'll notice, like a real estate agent that sells $200,000 homes usually lives in one.
Yeah.
A guy that sells Cadillacs usually drives one, or Lamborghinis usually drives one. A guy that builds custom homes usually lives in one. So we sell how we are. And I'll catch myself because I'm a little out of touch with the reality these days. I'll say, it's only $100,000, man, pay that or whatever. And somebody be like, what do you mean only $100,000? I'm like, well, I mean, we're doing things on a different level over here. But to me, if somebody's like, I don't have $1,000, I'm like, that's chump change. Why don't you have $1,000? Dude, you're a grown ass man. But again, that's how I sell, because that's how I live, right? It would be weird but at the same time, when I sold car washes, I sold how I live. When I sold mortgages, and I was usually doing mortgages from the 180 to 250 range, that's what I did. I lived in a 180 to 250 house. So, we generally sell, like I said, how we are to people that are like us, because that's what we're comfortable with.
Yeah. It's almost as if your ability to sell is proportional to I want to say your own like acceptance of sales, or your own, I'm asking you.
Yeah. So, it's like this. There's guys all the time that will hit me up that are, let's give an example, like an insurance agent or a loan officer. And they'll say, man, there's just not enough people in my marketplace. I'm like, bro, you're licensed by the state. You're locking yourself into a mental box just because you live in the country or the rural part of your state that thinks you heard of this thing called the internet. Dude, we can talk to people anywhere at any time. You can get information over the phone. There's like a million ways, but people put themselves in that. And so your ability to earn is in direct proportion to your ability to think and believe that you can earn.
And why do you think someone can't do that? Why are they limiting themselves in their own personal development and success?
I have a good answer for that. Most of us grew up, especially in sales, most of us didn't grow up with like a silver spoon and rich parents and Ivy League education. Most of us grew up with humble beginnings, which is a polite way of saying our parents didn't have their shit together. And because of that, we didn't learn positive habits, right? If our parents had it together, they'd be wealthy and taking care of us, right? So we didn't learn the positive habits of the wealthy and the people who could take care of us. Instead, we learned the habits of the people who raised us up. So when we get older, we start to, have these upper limits. I'll see sales guys all the time. They'll get on the verge of making $100,000 or $200,000, and they'll hit some kind of upper limit and screw it all up. They'll either fire their employees or want to start all over or get rid of the marketing campaign that was making them all this money because they think they need something to do. But what's subliminally happening, subconsciously happening, is they're hitting an upper limit because they weren't guided from a young age by people who, and oftentimes they don't have anybody in their circle who are living on that level or doing things on that level. So they seem like they're the top dog, and the regression to the mean is to destroy the things. I'm sure you've seen that a lot. I'm sure you've had people talk about it on your show, right? Where things get going real good and you're like, okay, I need to start a war somewhere. I need to make sure I have a fight. I need a reason to give it all away. I mean, I'm a prime example, man. I've started over, I can't even count how many times, between divorce and prison and all this other crap. I've had to start all over, lose it, start all over, lose it. And, I think at this point I have perfected the art of starting from nothing and building it into something really quickly. But at the same time, getting tired of starting all over too. And I realized in the past, one of the reasons I started all over often was because I hit an upper limit. I found something stupid to do that caused this chain reaction for me to experience that pain. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of salespeople and just a lot of people in general that go through that same process just because we don't have the right mentors, people around us, or upbringing to teach us what to do when we're suffering from success. Because most of the time you become successful and then all the friends and stuff from the hood or the community or the neighborhood or whatever the case, the people that you went to school with, they're like, oh man, Andrew thinks he's cool now that he's got this top podcast. Oh, he thinks he's somebody, got all these followers and everything, and then you start feeling guilty for being successful because they're losers. It's like crabs in a bucket.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Yeah, I things like that happen quite often, actually.
Shit was ringing in your ears when I said that one day. You're like, I've heard this so many times.
Yeah, you're speaking my mind. So what's a guide to do here? Mentors, self-education, books, courses, coaches, like what are you doing and what are most people doing?
Well, the good news is we live in a world full of social media, so you can follow the right people and unfollow the wrong people. I'm on Facebook all the time for business, and I have had to learn to get away from the people bitching about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and connect with the people who are talking about solar roof panels. And I'm not friends with Elon Musk personally, but I can follow his page and I can follow publications that talk about him. I'm not friends with Warren Buffett. I'm not even friends with Warren Buffett personally. I can follow him, do the same thing. I'm not even friends with some of the local mentors that you may know, but I can get with them online and learn from them by, like you said, things that were, a lot of money 5 years ago are now for free on the internet. So you really have no excuse. And you might think, well, I don't have any physical friends like homies I can invite over to my house. And when I started this, I didn't either. I had to connect with people online and start the relationship there and start learning their language and learning. Even when I went to federal prison, I read like a book a day. And I read a book about business and everything else because I knew that if I was going to lose my license and everything else, I better get some kind of education and speak the language of business. And so there's really no excuse. And if you choose to surround yourself with people who will cause you to suffer from success, the first thing is to become aware of that. And if you choose to still stay there, then maybe you deserve to have those friends. But the truth is you don't. And the truth is if you have people that are holding you back, like, it's weird, man. We'll have people with no qualifications whatsoever, like our parents, tell us not to do things. My parents tell me, hey, well, you shouldn't be writing books about this, that, or other. Like, no shit, with your $50,000 a year job, we make that a week over here, right? Like, how are you going to tell me what not to do for my business? And you're maybe worried that I say a thing or two about you when meanwhile, this book's been read by 100,000 people who have had their life touched and changed and been inspired in one way or another, right? But if I had to listen to my parents, then imagine what I might be doing today. I might still be washing cars, man,
Yeah, I would still be a retail manager if I listened to my parents. I think you said it was just a couple years, because I asked you, I said, are you doing seven figures? You said multi. And then I think you said it was just a couple years. And so I'm curious, and I just want to I want the audience to see this. How much money have you invested in yourself? I'm talking books, courses, coaching, or mastermind groups, even just like traveling to meet with other people who are very high level that you're going to learn from in the last 3 years.
In the last 3 years, $500,000 to $1 million, I would imagine.
Because $500,000 to $1 million you've invested in self-development.
Yeah, I mean, I just paid 20 grand cash 2 weeks ago to go spend 2 days with Frank Kern and pick his brain at his house. I spent $25,000 a few months before that with Russell Brunson to be able to be a part of his inner circle. I'm on about 15 different, $97 to $300 a month newsletters and info products and stuff like that. Like, I've read every damn sales trainer's book, and I'm probably a member of every sales trainer out there's product. Even though I think I'm the best, I can still learn from everybody. And that's not counting the airfare and hotel rooms and late nights out. And
late nights out. That's
dude, I'm a huge believer in it. I'm a huge believer in it because guess what? I don't have a college education, and nor do I want to go to college, because most of the people I know that went to college don't have their shit together. And so what I've done is I've learned to just pay people that have their shit together to pick their brain. Some people want money because that's what they do for a living. And then I've had mentors that don't want any money either. They just want a relationship and a true friendship. Or what I really find, Andrew, is people that have success, they oftentimes want other people to experience it too, because there's so few people really willing to do it. A lot of people say they want success. There's so few people willing to do what it takes to see success.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to daydream about, when you're in the pit, when you're in the arena, when you're bloody, when you're sweaty, when you're losing money, it ain't so pretty. I think that's huge. I want to emphasize that point again. You spent over over $500,000 in just the last 3 years. You're talking about spending a couple days or a day just to ask them a few questions. You're spending 5 figures, $20,000, $25,000. And that is what people need to see as well. You're taking massive action, but you're not just doing it blindly. It's not like you're just action forever, because there's a guy talking down on the guy, but there's a gardener, right? I could see him through my window, and he's working a lot harder than I am physically right now. I'm sitting in I'm in a nice chair here in San Diego on the beach, and that guy's working hard. So it's not just about taking action. You got to learn from the best. You got to have a map. You got to have a blueprint. And it sounds like I'm about to go into a pitch right here, but I'm not. I'm just saying, like, that's huge, you guys. He's spending money on himself, and he's seeing a ton of success. And I think the craziest part about it, Ryan, is that your success is only going to continue to grow. So you spent $500,000 in the last 3 years, but it's going to continue paying off for the rest of your life.
Well, and let me say this, because I know I've been doing this long enough to where I know, Andrew, there's somebody out there going, yeah, but he makes a couple $1 million a year. It's 20 grand for him is nothing. I know it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me explain. I started in 2010, the Dodd-Frank Act was passed, and I lost my mortgage license. I was thrown into nothing. I went and tried multi-level marketing, and I didn't like it because after I built my income up, they changed the comp level. I sold cars for a little while. 2012, I registered hardcorecloser.com, but I really didn't do anything with it until late 2013. Okay, so here we are, 2016. Well, in early 2013. In early 2013, a gentleman named Kevin Nations and his business partner at the time, Frank Kern, hit me up, and they asked me for $8,000 that I did not have. I was flat ass broke. And I took $1,000 out on my credit card, and I told them I could give them $1,000 deposit and pay on Friday. In the meantime, while I was waiting on my check to arrive, could I please listen to the first 2 or 3 episodes of their training program so that I could go ahead and get started? And they agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Put the $1,000 down. I still owed them $7,000 that I didn't have. And I watched those videos that they gave me. And by the time Friday rolled around, I had the other $7,000 to give them because I took action. And at this time, I lived in the extra bedroom of my in-laws' house. So I want you to understand that it didn't like, oh man, it's $2 million. It's 20 grand. It's nothing to him. That $8,000 was more than I ever had, times 10,000% at the time. But I still made the sacrifice. I worked the negotiation, hence the name Hardcore Closer, and everything else to where the chips could fall in my favor as long as I took responsibility, manned up, and made something happen. They taught me how to sell consulting. I sold consulting to a dentist for $10,000. I had the rest of their money within a few days just by implementing exactly, and not reinventing, but implementing exactly what it was those two gentlemen showed me.
So do you think that if someone can just take action and just buckle down and do the work, if it's a legitimate program, that they are likely to see a positive ROI on whatever it is the guy's selling? So I mean, I know it kind of sounds like I'm building up to something here, but whether or not someone wants to get in real estate or they want to sell cars or they want to become a coach, whatever it is that they're trying to sell, do you believe that?
Yes, I do. But here's the thing. Most people think that they expect to hit a home run right off the jump. When you get in real estate, man, it's 120 to 180 days before you get a paycheck. You may get lucky and get one of the first 60 to 90 days, but let's be real. It takes 30 days for someone to find a house, 30 days for them to get the loan, then a couple weeks after that to get your commission check if you get somebody on the hook day one. And so most people get 60 days into it and they quit, but they don't realize that they were only 60 days away from having the easiest 6-figure a year job that you could ever have once you get it going.
Yeah. The whole 3 feet from gold. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think most people a lot of people that are investing in programs, even the ones that I offer, it's a struggle up front. And then what happens is they start seeing results. And then they can turn around and say, wow, what I can't believe that I said, I was giving you such a hard time. Sometimes people apologize. Sometimes people write back and thank me for being able to stand for them and what they really wanted and to solve their pain and solve their problems. So really good stuff here. I just wanted to, I saw you live at an event and people were asking you for objection handles. And I just want to give you a couple simple objections and I just want your gut level response.
Where did you see me live at?
Here in San Diego. I'm in San Diego is where I live, but I saw you at...
so probably ClickFunnels.
Yeah, Russell Brunson.
Probably the funnel hacking. Yep.
Yeah, it was good. And I love the gut check. Just, you were just... You didn't have to think about anything. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it, man. What I need is to know what you sell and what the objection is.
Oh, let's just do what I sell. So we sell coaching for men, personal development coaching for men to help men become stronger, grounded men so they could have more love, connection, happiness, and freedom in their lives. Build up confidence, things like that. Go after their dreams.
Easy enough.
Yep. I don't have the money.
There's two ways you can go about this. In your business, would it be a married person or a single person telling you that?
It's half. It's half.
All right.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I'll give you one of the most powerful closes that you can use in personal development for married men. When someone says, I don't have the money. Well, what does getting better as a man mean to you and your marriage? Well, it means everything because we're on the fritz and that's what they're always going to say. We're on the fritz. We fight all the time, everything else. Well, I can assure you this. The $5,000 that I'm asking you to invest in yourself and your marriage today is a hell of a lot cheaper than giving half of everything that you have right now to someone to walk away and then paying them a monthly residual income to babysit your kids as well. Do you understand how important this program is that we're about to go through?
All right. And then for the single guy?
And for the single guy, it's how do you, if you don't have, let's say it's $5,000, if you don't have $5,000 to better your life, how can you ever expect to have the right woman? How can you ever expect to have the cars and the dream job and everything else if you're not willing to invest in yourself? The longer you deprive yourself of finally experiencing everything that you've wanted from life by being a better person, the longer you're going to just go through this suffering, and it's going to keep you from getting exactly what you want and need, which is what the solution that I have right here, right now, today.
Great. I don't have the time.
I am one of the busiest people on the planet. I run 13 companies. I write for 5 different publications. We get over 250 different people inquiring every single day about what it is that we sell. Here's the thing that I know about time. You'll make time for what's important. If this is not what's important to you, we shouldn't be having this conversation. If this is important to you, you will make time for it. And you've proven that by the things that you've done that have led you here to this call today.
Great. I'm not ready.
Then if you're not ready, that's completely understandable. But at the same time, what are you waiting for? And here's what I find what happens. I know that's real simple, Andrew, compared to the longer response I've given you before. But when you ask somebody what they're waiting for, they're going to give you a bullshit answer. It's going to be money, approval from some mysterious person, business partner, wife, or whatever. Yeah. But it's your job to dig a little bit deeper. When they say, well, I'm waiting on approval from my business partner. Well, what if he says no? What if he tells you you're a fucking idiot, and he'll tell you that you never get the company checkbook again because you're making terrible financial decisions by coming over here and talking to an idiot like me? Oh man, he would never say that. Then what do you need to talk to him for? If you know it's right for the company that you don't need to there's no need to talk to him. Let's just keep moving forward and then go celebrate and give him good news instead of asking for permission.
Would you use that the same for let me speak with my partner, such as significant other, wife, girlfriend?
Yeah, the first thing, if somebody says, let me speak to my partner, the first thing you need to do is go, well, what if they say no? Well, then what do we do? Because most of the time they're going to go, oh man, they're not going to say no, blah, blah, blah. Or they'll go, well, they're most likely going to say yes. Well, awesome. Well, let's just move forward. Let me get your information now. Take your credit card. You go talk to your wife or your business partner tonight. If they say no, call me in the morning. I'll make sure I don't run it. If I don't hear from you, I'll run it and get you signed up by noon.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so just great. I like how quick you are and how you can handle those. I can tell that you've been doing this for quite some time here. I just got to ask a few more questions here, and we'll wrap up. I know you're extremely busy. I am as well. We're going to dive into the knowledge round here. Have you ever felt like you weren't the strong, grounded man that you know you're capable of becoming? Like there's something more inside of you, but you don't know how to get it out. Me too. Years ago, I was broke, sleeping on my brother's couch, and just got out of a serious breakup that left me on the floor for months. Now, I have a multiple six-figure business. I'm in the best shape of my life, have an abundant dating life, and live on the beach here in San Diego. I want you to break through too and create the life that you want. And because people kept asking me so many questions, I've created this free video training series on becoming a strong, grounded man so that you can have more freedom, love, and connection in your life. I'll also teach you how to build real backbone to boost your masculinity as a man so that you can have more respect, power, and confidence personally and professionally. Simply go to kfmconfidence.com to get this training. Again, that's kfmconfidence.com. Also, I share the #1 conversation that your father never had with you about women. That will be a major wake-up call for 90% of you and will improve the quality of your relationships forever. Go to kfmconfidence.com to get this free training today. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. The first question I have for you is, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling really lost and they're not sure about what direction they should go in?
That's a good question. We're all put here with the unique DNA operating code. The universe, the divinity, something of that nature has assigned this DNA strand that you have that's unique, that nobody else on this planet has. And we spend most of our lives lost because there's a voice in the back of our head saying, Andrew, you need to be a podcaster. And you're like, dude, I'm a retail manager. Like, get off me with the podcast crap. I'm over here doing a really good job at retail manager. And then at night you go home and drink so the voice will quit telling you to be a podcaster. And then you're like, you're not feeling fulfilled. And you, as you just said, you start feeling lost. Yep. And all it is the fact that you're not listening to the unique DNA code that you've been given. So many people are walking around trying to become Macs when they were wired as a Windows unit, right? Maybe Windows is a little bit faultier than Macs, but quit trying to be something you're not. You're only going to be happy when you work well within the operating software that you have. And the key to that is listening to the voice in the back of our head. And the problem with that most people have is they're scared of the success. If I listen to this voice and I take a risk, what if I fail? You won't, because that's what you're supposed to do. Your fear is the only thing keeping you from achieving exactly what it is you were destined to achieve. And it's amazing how our minds can do that to us.
It's great. It's beautiful. What do you think is holding most men back from becoming stronger, grounded men?
They're the cycle of their past. The one thing that holds everybody back is they are too hard on themselves about mistakes they've made in the past. It happened. Get over it.
Yeah.
And it keeps people from improving. It's like, I can't get better because I did this before. But yeah, that already happened. The getting better thing is future. The thing that already happened, there's no control over it anymore.
Yeah, really good. And so your books, I've read a number of them: Elevator to the Top, Hardcore Closer, Kick-Ass, Bulletproof Business. I those are great books. Audience, check them out. But for yourself, what have been some influential books on your journey and why?
I have read a lot of books. When it comes to sales, there's a book called Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, which is one of the best books on mind selling ever. Think and Grow Rich. Everybody gives that book credit. There's a book called Kick-Ass: Copyright and Secrets of a Marketing Rebel by a gentleman named John Carlton. And that book taught me to read. And you think about it, I've made millions of dollars, or taught me to write, not read. And I've made millions of dollars through writing over the last few years because this year, made multi-millions just this year alone. In the past, if you add it all together, we've made even more millions. And so the reason why I say that's all derived from my ability to write. And that book changed my life by learning how to actually write. And I don't mean like, fancy, college, collegiate type of writing. Yeah, like copywriting, like really write conversational shit that sells people stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good stuff. And yeah, really good books there. That book by John Carlton, it's not a book you can pick up on Amazon. It's or maybe, but it's not a $10 book. It's like $100, I believe.
Yes, it's $97
just for the audience.
You can. It's $97. Yeah, $97. You got to go to Google and type in John Carlton kick-ass copyright, and it'll be the first thing that comes up.
Yeah. Great. And so, scenario here for yourself: if you had 60 seconds with your 25-year-old self, if you can envision where 25-year-old Ryan is at personally, professionally, what would you tell him to do, and what would you tell him not to do?
Just keep on doing what you're doing, man. You're in the right place at the right time. Just keep pushing no matter how bad things get. That's all I'd say.
Yeah, very simple. And we'll wrap up here with the knowledge round. A lot of people are saying, when they think of sales, there's a few people that come to mind, some of them much older, the Tracys and Zieglers, these guys. And there's kind of like a newer wave of guys, which includes yourself. Some people compare you and Grant Cardone together. What do you say when someone says something like that to you? Do you think that you guys are in the same space? Are you guys friends? I'm just curious personally.
Well, first of all, it's an honor because he's been doing this for 37 years and I've been doing it for about 4. And so when someone compares me to basically the heavyweight champ, we'll just say of sales right now, man, that's an honor. It shows me that I'm in the right place at the right time. Unfortunately, Grant and I had some exchange words a couple years ago. We let our egos get in the way, so he's had me blocked on social media for quite a while. I wish that we were friends, but like I said, both of us let our egos get in the way. It happens in this business. He's not the only one that I have clashed with. And when you do 4 years of your life in prison, you're not always the friendliest person when people try to step on your toes and stuff too. I'll take personal responsibility for that. But Grant there's a couple things. Am I on his level? The guy claims that he's got $400 million in assets. So no, hell no, I'm not on his level. He does have a 37-year head start against me. And will I be on his level? I'll be bigger. And it's not that he's any better or I'm any better than him. The fact is, like, his job, he's done his job up until the point that he decides to stop. And it's my job to continue to pick up where I've started and where I've picked up and carry it for the next 40 years. He carried it for 37. It'll be my job to carry it for the next 40, And I appreciate the trail that he blazed for guys like me and those that come after me to be able to empower in our own way, man. So I got nothing against that guy. I got nothing but respect for everything that he's done. Have we clashed in the past and there are issues? Yes, but I respect all these sales trainers that are out there because it's not an easy job. And the ones that are making millions of dollars, whether that be a month, a year, or every couple years, like I respect them because this is it's not some easy stuff, especially if you've been around for a long time. There's lots of folks that come out with a program and then you never hear from again because it sucked and they got ran out of the marketplace. Grant's obviously stood the test of time, so there's nothing but respect there for that.
Yeah, really, really good to hear, and didn't know about that, but I think you handled that very well, and I hope things can be better in the future. So that concludes
Stewman for president 2020.
Boom, mic drop. Yeah. What's exciting you now today? What's looking for? What's great in the next year here?
Well, remember I told you I spent 20 grand with Frank a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. Have you done that yet?
We laid out a business plan that we launched towards the end of December that will change the game for me, those in my circle, those on my team. And I'm really excited because this is going to be the thing that allows me to get in front of the 300 million people and change their life, which is my life goal. So that's what I'm excited about. Woke up at 4 o'clock today, bright-eyed, bushy-tail, after partying in Nashville for 3 days. Like, get this, just on a side note, I spent the last 3 days of my life partying in Nashville with like country's royalty. Like, I can't even say these people's names. You wouldn't even believe me if I did. Riding around in Rolls Royce, getting drunk and high and shit like that. And like, I was getting paid for all this, dude. My life is amazing. I woke up on Sunday and I'm like, what in the world? How did we get here? But it was awesome,
What do you mean you got paid to do that? Were you training? Were you coaching?
I flew to Nashville to go speak at a convention.
I see. Yeah.
I made I got paid 10 grand at the convention. Then I closed $90,000 in sales while I was in the room speaking. So say I got 100 grand. Then while I was in town, a few of my fans took me to private clubs. Turns out their neighbors are freaking country music stars. We're hanging out with all these people in these private bars that you can't get to on Broadway Street, riding around in expensive cars. It was absolutely like dream come true. I'm like looking at myself, like I said on Sunday morning, I'm like, who in the hell are you, dude? Like, where in the world how did you get here? Like, hey, man, that's why I go back and tell my 25-year-old self, don't change nothing. Stay where you're at and keep pushing ahead.
Hell yeah. That's amazing. Ryan Stewman, you guys can follow up with all of his work, his programs, his products, his free training at hardcorecloser.com. You can just Google Ryan Stewman as well. Just Google Ryan Stewman Closer and you see his social media profiles pop up and his website pops up. Go to Amazon, type in Ryan Stewman, and you can get he's got 4 books out so far, and I'm sure many more to come. Ryan, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, sharing your story, being vulnerable, and having a fun time here with you.
Dude, hopefully I dropped some knowledge for your men, and thanks for having me on, Andrew.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and millions of downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we're just getting started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a helpful review in iTunes because it really helps the podcast grow so we can impact even more men in the world who need this. Guys, this is all about living with purpose, where every day you only do things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. And always remember, love the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. Go to kfmfree.com to get a surprise bonus I've made for my listeners. Again, that's kfmfree.com for something that's changed my life, and I'm offering it to you for free. Also, check out my Amazon best-selling books that I've written for you to help you crush life at kfmauthor.com. Again, that's kfmauthor.com to see all the books I've created to help you break through in life. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, founder of knowledgeformen.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.